It's boxing action, proudly brought to you by Madison Sport.
Let's bring out the boxers!
And he is just loading up. He loves throwing that punch. He's soaking him up. He says, bring it on, Alex Leopold.
What a fight we've got! Ladies and gentlemen, our main event of the card.
Clubbing left hook.
Unbelievable. There's a crowd go ballistic.
And hello everyone, welcome along to a special episode of In the Red Corner. Tonight featuring Colin Wilson. That's the gentleman on the screen now with that familiar waltz to the ring. To learn about his opponent and tonight's action, here's Peter Rucas.
Let me introduce you to the Juice Man, Sam Leuii. Wearing the black trunks, he is the Australian heavyweight champion. Please welcome back to Brisbane, Colin "Kid" Wilson.
Okay, fellas, that instruction in the dressing room. Obey my commands. Protect yourself at all times. Shake hands, go back to your corner and wait for the bell.
Round one.
Good on you, Peter Rucas, as the action gets underway right now. Tonight, this episode coming from March of 2007 and captured out at the Sleeman Sports Centre at Chandler. There's Colin Wilson on the attack. His opponent tonight is Sam Leuii, and commentary, of course, is Brian Kerwin. And Brian, what can you tell us about the Juice Man?
The back of the head,
The Juice Man's a very seasoned professional, mate. He's had about 40 fights. Only winning 15 of those fights, but he's been in there with them all. He's been in with Paul Briggs. He's been in there with Daniel Rousell, Sean Sullivan, one of Mundine and Danny Green's former opponents, and he's tough, and he's here to upset big Colin Wilson.
Yeah, Cole with that familiar waltz into the ring. We've seen so many occasions. Tonight he's shaping up for, would it have to be somewhere in the 50 zone, maybe 53 or 4 fights for Cole. He's won his fair share of those, at least maybe somewhere in the vicinity of 65 to 70% of those. Haven't got his record sitting exactly in front of me right now, but he's approaching 34 years of age, and he's given us a couple of special moments over time, and there he is definitely on the attack. Been able to connect with a couple of hefty blows there to Leuii's head, as Leuii does his best to fight back with a couple of sloppy left and rights. Cole, he... I think it would be fair to say, Brian, throughout our 100 episodes of In the Red Corner, has delighted some of our audiences with that familiar style and his laconic manner.
I love him. I think he's great. As the Australian heavyweight champion. He loves a beer. He loves standing around in the pub telling stories, and he's one tough hombre.
He's a bloke's bloke, isn't he? And the kid coal miner... out at Chandler again to make sure that his reputation isn't tarnished.
Last time they came down, actually when they came down for this fight, I was speaking to Blair and Cole, and Blair's an icon in the tent fighting around Australia, in Fred Brophy's tents, and they were telling me that Cole stepped into the ring one night and had a few tent fights, so the poor punter that turned up to have a go at any old guy in the tent, and he ended up fighting the Australian heavyweight champion. This
particular fight was staged in the arena, and about 150 metres. That was a good right hand from Wilson, just sneaking through Leuii's guard. He's doing the better work as Colin Wilson. I'll get back to that particular story. It was about 150 metres away from the centre where we saw it was taking on Nathan Briggs. And what a fight that turned out to be, with Briggs looking the goods early on, but then Colin Wilson just working his way back into the fight and ending it somewhat in the 5th round.
Mate, that shows the toughness of Colin Wilson, and he'll do that with most opponents on the Australian stage, as he probably wins that first round.
Oh, don't you love the big boys? Big Colin Wilson.
But it's the next step when he goes up against the guys like Shane Cameron and Roger Eisenrate, and those guys is when he's really is tested.
Yeah. As I said, against Briggs that night, you felt that for a moment or two, particularly in the first couple of rounds, that he may well have been in trouble. Although he's one of these guys that rarely gives away too much. You're never too sure when he does get hurt.
No, he's as tough as an old leather boot. And he's a country boy, and formerly from New Zealand, actually, Cole Wilson. but moved to Australia as a very youngster. And he's a champion, mate. I enjoy watching him fight, and he's a pleasure to put on as well.
Well, it would have been show 99 of In the Red Corner last week. For the viewers that tuned in, you would have seen Matt Meredith up against Fred Mundrabi. Of course, this particular program, and of course this particular fight was on the undercard to the Robbie Peden-Ranoi Gunoi fight in March of 2007, and you will get a chance to experience the Peden-Gunoi fight over the next month or two, I would imagine, on this particular show. Here we go now, stepping into the second round of 6, and Colin Wilson obviously gaining the upper hand after the first 3 minutes.
Colin Wilson, you can see there, he loves to call his opponents on. He's a cagey fighter. He'll make them use their energy, and then he'll unload, and he picks his moments to when he wants to attack, and he is just a great professional fighter.
I remember having a word to him one day, and I said to him a bit about extra training activities out there at Emerald and Blackwater and the likes of the places that he was training. And he said, mate, when you're working down the mine and you're on 12-hour shifts, he said, and you're throwing 124-kilo bolts up into the roof, there's not a heavy demand for going and lifting weights and doing extra work. So I somewhat got the picture about how Cole goes about his day-to-day living, and with that interwoven is his training all parcelled up into one neat package.
As Sam Leuii continues to cop these punches, he might have wished he'd had a day job too, mate, instead of being a professional boxer.
Sam's last outing, did you tell me that a minute ago?
I did, yes. He fought Amosa Zinc over at in Auckland, Manuka City, actually, South Auckland. And he's won a unanimous decision, so he came in on a winning streak to this fight.
Our referee here is Derek Millam. Our judges are Brad Vicali, of course, one of the feature commentators here on In the Red Corner, and really doing some wonderful work in recent times as we, as I said, commemorate the 100th showing of this particular program. From the Broncos to Mansfield to Kedron to Logan Diggers to the Tats Knights to Chandler. Congratulations, Brian Kerwin, and all the team that have been instrumental in putting these shows together over a couple of years.
Thank you very much, Mark. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we can continue to bring the fights that don't often get the coverage that they much deserve.
Wilson there in the latter part of round number 2, still peppering Leuii's head, and despite the fact that the Juice Man has got his gloves nice and high, the power of the punch there seems to be protruding through and scoring at somewhat a readily rate there for Colin Wilson. So he's in front. There's not a lot of action to report as far as major combinations are concerned. It's just Wilson going about what he does best. We're going to take a short break at the tail end of this round, and we'll be back on In the Red Corner in a few moments' time.
Stop.
Round 2. Seconds down. Round 3.
Thank you, Peter Rukas.
Wipe that floor, will you?
Wilson winning the first couple of rounds in tonight's episode of In the Red Corner. Recent fight night from the Chandler Sports Centre. This one coming from the Arena. And Colin Wilson taking on Sam Leuii. If you've just tuned in, after that word or two from our sponsors. Cole, the big loafing southpaw, 34 years of age. Now I've got my hands on his record. Following a fight that would have been post this one in Germany, Cole's record sliding to 32-20 and zip. What's in store for Colin Wilson? I mean, you've got the rankings somewhere handy to you there, Brian.
Yeah, well, he is the current Australian champion, of course, and probably in line to fight him if they do choose to do so would be Carly Meehan. He's number one contender. Bob Mirovic, Roger Eisenrate, then Nathan Briggs, of course, who's back in the scene and probably is keen to have a fight with Cole down the track. I don't know whether Cole is interested in that fight or not, but it's one I'd like to see happen again, and give Nathan that third and final chance that he much probably deserves. But yeah, apart from those type of fights, he can look to go overseas as the Australian champion and fight the bigger guys like he did recently with Corey Sanders in South Africa, and that was a huge fight for Cole. Corey Sanders is a former world champion and only had 3 losses from 44 fights, so they're the big ones that he's got to take. So he either continues to fight guys like this and stays the Australian champion, or he goes overseas and he tests his wares overseas, mate.
Well, just having a look back through his career, and I went back to April of 2005 when he took on Shane Cameron and lost that one, but it was a narrow loss, a TKO in the 7th. And of course now Shane has really come on in leaps and bounds as an athlete. Only recently, of course, spied in the Mundine fight night where he did really turn it on, didn't he, and destroyed Bob Mirovic.
Yeah, well, I guess everyone saw the power that Shane Cameron does possess, and he is a very tough customer. He's from the Highlands down in the South Island of New Zealand, and former sheep herder, I think he was, and he is a very skilled and highly rated heavyweight from New Zealand. Yeah,
well, another formerly highly rated heavyweight from that part of the world was David Tua. Is he still active?
David Tua is still active. He's just fought recently on ESPN, and although not winning in spectacular fashion like he used to in his early career, he's still got the skills, and that's a fight that the team Cameron are looking for and want. So if that ever happens, mate, I'd love to be there ringside to see them two go at it.
We take care of the third round there, and only seconds out from the bell sounding in the third, Derek Millam stepping in and saying to Cole Wilson, no more of that, because he had been warned once or twice in the first couple of rounds about low blows, and he was able to connect right to the part of the body that you'd best prefer not to be hit, and the Juice Man did feel that one on that occasion.
Mark, we might just take a bit of the audio feed from Cole's corner.
The 1-2, mate, is landing every time you're throwing it. You know, you're not putting enough fucking heat in it.
Keep him up, mate. If he wants to go ahead and take it for him, keep him up.
We'll start banging a bit more fucking power in your straight left, Cole. And don't fuck around with your hands down, Cole. You just fuck nice and neat. Keep it nice and neat. Put a bit more fucking in.
Blair with some interesting words of advice there, Mark.
Yeah, the cue was perfectly timed. In fact, almost as if Cowboy knew you were coming.
He's not one to mix words, the Cowboy.
No, I don't believe he's ever sugar-coated a comment in his life. But I think Cole understands Cowboy's language, and I think he'll probably just go out and do a bit more of what he's just been doing in the first 3 rounds. Oh, there he goes again. He's testing Derek's sense of humour and patience.
I don't know. That's not definitely part of his game plan. Cole Wilson's not a dirty fighter by any stretch of the imagination, and I think that might just be his timing. He hasn't fought for a while. His last fight, he did get knocked out early, and he's just missing a bit, mate. He's off cue. Derek Millam, though, the seasoned referee that he is, having done a lot of world title fights overseas in Thailand and America, and I think he actually refereed Roberto Duran at one stage, so they can't have asked for any more experienced referee to be in there with them at the moment, mate.
Yeah, Cole just going through the motions here, getting into a good position to strike, flicking out the jab and doing his best to follow up with a heavier left hand. He's connected a couple of times in the first 3.5 rounds, and that's why he's in front in this fight. The Juice Man, that won't be hurting Cole. He'd take 1 million of those.
The Juice Man has performed in patches, though, mates, and I'm quite happy with his work rate at the moment, and he's making a fist of it.
So on the 100th episode of In the Red Corner, just thinking back over time, the first episode filmed with 2 cameras, no commentators, no titles. Luckily we had a couple of boxes. But Mick Shaw took on Danny Wilson November of 2004, and in that time from 04 you've been able to add to your coverage quite considerably, and here we go now as Cole puts a bit more pressure on Sam Leuii. He's a real crowd favourite as well, no surprise to see the locals in Brisbane getting right behind him. And from time to time a number of Cole's good friends and family have travelled, although He's just been peppered there once or twice there by Leuii, and Wilson acknowledges same. Oh, he gets through with another good right hand.
I think at time Cole gets a bit bored in there, and calls the other guy on and says, "Hit me a bit. You got to wake me up. I need to know I'm in a fight."
Oh, is that Cole dancing?
I don't know whether he'll ever be on Dancing with the Stars, but at 117 kilos, he is one big man.
Oh.
Mark, I think we're going to take a break on In the Red Corner, and we'll be back with the 5th round just after this short message.
Colin, Wilson, and the Juice Man. Oh, in the round 4. Don't you love the big boys? Colin, Wilson, and the Juice Man. Sam Leuii. The heavyweights.
Yeah, they do love the big men. This is the 5th round we're about to enter into. What's happened? Oh, hang about. One would think that the chair's just broke. Yeah, there we go. That's exactly what happened. Hey, what's he weighing in at?
The Juice Man he's well over 110 kilos. And they've had to call for reinforcements. I think Zelda needed a few reinforcements there as well.
Gone for the white moulded plastic chair. I think the Juice Man wouldn't mind a big banana chair. But they're not going to find one of those in a hurry. He's just squashed the living life out of the wooden stool. And he is sucking in the big ones.
And for those boxing aficionados, the man taking that white chair out was Alex Leuii, one of Queensland and Brisbane's great heavyweight fighters, and it's good to see him back in Brisbane and back in shape, and looking forward to his fights coming up, mate.
A little overhand right there from Cole. And
when I picked up the Juice Man from the airport, Mark, he spoke about a fight that was coming up inside of 28 days from this fight night. And of course, if you're knocked out, you cannot fight within that 28-day rule. So part of his game plan was to survive. I asked him about his chances to win. He said, "Come on, bro, I'm fighting the Australian champion." So he knew what he had to do. He came in here to survive, but he's doing more than that at the moment. He's putting up a good effort.
Yeah, well, clearly he's going to get beaten, and Cole will win this one. And then Cole then boarded a plane to Stuttgart sometime in April and took on Oleg Platov. And that one there went a full 10 rounds.
Yes, that was an incredible effort. A lot of people said that Cole was obviously he was going over there, he was getting paid well, but wasn't much of a chance. But he's went the distance with a guy who's had 21 KOs from 25 fights, and what an incredible effort. And at times, from all reports, had the guy rocked at times. So excellent stuff from Cole.
Yeah, so that brings you right up to speed with where Colin is. As I said, this one here, this particular fight, was captured in March. And then a period of about a month later, there goes Cole now, ripping to the tummy of Sam Leuii. Sam just doing his best to evade as many of those heavy blows as he can. Derek once again in to separate the two boys. Then he took the flight to Stuttgart. He fought in Germany. And as I said, that was the 14th of April. So we sit here now towards the tail end of April. And no doubt Cole looking now for another appointment sometime pretty soon.
You can see the tactics Cole Wilson takes into a fight. He has that pouring and hooking right hand, and he follows it up with that big left, and he tries to pull the opponent's guard out of the position, and he tries to land with that big left. And it's worked on many occasions for Cole. Of course, fought Joe Bugner back in, I think it was about year 2000 down at the Gold Coast, and from all reports, that was one hell of a fight, Mark.
To be precise, the 13th of January. A unanimous points decision going to Joe Bugner in the 12th round. It's 1998. the end of the 5th round. I was just having a look right back through his career. He first fought in 1992, Jason Coker. Bean Lee, there's probably a chance that a couple of the people watching tonight may well have been there, the old boxing diehards from around the Brisbane district.
And I'll tell you another interesting fact about Cole Wilson. In his second fight, he fought Ricky Thornberry.
Yes, and his third. He backed up for another go. So Ricky Thornberry.
He won the first one by a KO, knocked out Ricky Thornberry, and he lost the next one on points.
And clearly Cole was a lot lighter back then in 1992. He rapidly put a bit more meat on.
He would have been a fair side at 6'5" and 76 kilos. I'm glad he grew into the man mountain that he is today, mate.
Final round coming up. This program now being seen outside of Queensland. They had a little stint in Canberra, nation's capital, and then they're still being aired in Melbourne. Hello to the folk watching in Melbourne tonight. And of course, if you can't get to see all of the episodes on the telly, you can quite easily get to www something. Where do we go?
We go to www.redcorner.com.au, and then you can follow the links. We have all of our videos posted on YouTube, which is the free-to-air video hosting site. And you can watch most of the episodes and additional stuff as well. We have all of our weigh-in interviews, and we have some very interesting items for people to get involved with, mate.
Well, over the 100 episodes, and I don't want to dwell on this forever, but I think it was worthwhile making a few points about that milestone tonight as Cole advances and scores with a couple of other blows. You've covered the Queensland Hall of Fame ceremonies. You've been to Perth and looked after the Australian amateur titles. We've shown some stuff from the Commonwealth Games, which was some terrific vision as well. And of course, you've been and taken the cameras over to New Zealand on several occasions.
Yeah, it's definitely been a whirlwind tour with the show. It's been a pleasure to do, actually, and I just hope that we've been able to provide a different medium for boxing to get the great product out there and people to enjoy.
The Mccullen Byrne fight was on this program of fights back at Sleeman in March, and that one's still to come on in the red corner.
Yes, that'll be within the next 2 weeks, that fight, and that's a 10-round fight, and not giving away the result, but it goes the distance, and we'll show that fight over two full episodes, so you won't miss any of the action. Chris Mccullen, one of our local champions, and at that stage the current Australian champion, so it's his second defence of the title, first defence of the title, so...
Well, it definitely would have been easier for the Juice Man to come here and take an early exit, knowing that he was trying to survive. But you're right, he has hung in there and he's done his best to fight right to the bitter end, knowing full well, even at this point here, he's not going to win the fight, not expecting, as you were saying, when he jumped into your car at the airport, that he was ever going to imagine that he beat Cole Wilson. But he's come here and yeah, you're right, he's done his best, and it's not going to be enough, but he'll probably pick up 1 or 2 fights in the near future back home. How old is he? Yeah,
37 years.
He's getting on.
Get him up, Cole.
Oh, hello. One lands. Oh, and take that.
And Cole gives him a bit of a wink at the end, mate. He says, how was that?
They went 6 by 3-minute rounds. Oh, yeah, the big man. Ladies and gentlemen, Judge Wally Lewis adjudged the fight 60-55. Judge Cyril Cairns adjudged the fight 59-55. And Judge Brad Vicali adjudged the fight 60-55. In this international heavyweight bout, the decision goes to the blue corner, Colin Kid Wilson. I tell you what, did you need a workout tonight?
Mate, yeah, we've sort of only been back in the gym for a couple of months, and you know, location, we haven't got available sparring, so tonight was a workout, yeah.
Mate, it was a good workout. I tell you what, you're doing you couldn't put him away. There was an opportunity there. He's a tough rooster.
Mate, very tough boy, mate. I haven't met a fella from New Zealand that's not bloody tough, so good luck to him and all the best in the future.
Okay, now what have you got on the cards? What's coming up?
Obviously we've got a lot of work to do in the gym.
That's about the program tonight. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. We've enjoyed your company. And until next time, take care.